Hello, in this recording, we're going to look at a quick way to find hierarchy breaks in SuccessFactors. Hierarchy breaks are frequent in the implementation phases of SuccessFactors when the data team starts loading data, and they can be a pretty major problem for some modules. And I'll speak about compensation, which I know very well, because we have the quickest way to basically run to mass launch the compensation worksheets is to start from whoever is on top of stack. So it's not always the CEO. Actually, in my experience, it's pretty rarely the CEO. Most companies don't load the CEO in their org chart. They load the VPs that are right below the CEO. And so we'll just enter the name of each VP, and then the system will do everything for us and mass create all the worksheets in a much faster way than an alternative feature we have. So if we have breaks, then the system stops at the level where the break is. So for example, if let's say Christine Dolan wasn't reporting to Michael Pittman, and as a consequence to the CEO here, if I launch from the CEO, then all of the levels, the level of Christine and all levels below her would be skipped from the compensation scope. There would be no worksheet created for Christine nor for the supervisors below her. So it's a pretty impacting problem in terms of validating the scopes and everything. So, this is just one example for compensation, but it impacts reporting, people analytics, and many other modules. So let's see how we can quickly figure out where the hierarchy breaks are. So we're going to use Excel for that. We're going to start from an export. So we need to have admin privileges, right? So employee export is where we export what is called the user directory file. The user directory file is an underlayer of Employee Central, which has like a limited number of information. And so we're going to use that. We can say just valid users only because we don't want to, if there's a lot of inactive users, we don't want them in the file, and then export user file. So if there's a lot of data in the database, it might take a long time. So then we're going to do open, and here the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take here user ID. So we delete the first column status, we don't need it. And then we can just take, we can delete these two. We're going to work exclusively with these two columns. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take filter here on the second row. And we're going to, in the filters on the manager column, we're going to do search for no underscore manager. Yep, so I want to select this and say OK. Once we have this here, we're going to take these two columns, copy them, and then paste them in a separate tab, which we're going to call employees, so EEs, without managers. MGERS. And then in here, we're going to paste. And I used the paste. You probably saw I used this one. And then we can remove the first two headers. Okay, so we have this first tab. Now we're going to create a different tab, but before we create it, we're going to go back to our file here. Now what we're going to do is just undo the filter, so select everybody, and we're just going to copy column B. We're going to copy column B, put it in here into a tab that we're going to call managers. Oh, and then we need to do the copy again, I guess. It deleted it. Okay, copy here, and same thing, delete the first two rows. And then we're going to select column A and do a data and remove duplicates, which is here, this logo. Okay, so now we have two tabs, one with the list, a list of unique IDs of only people that are managers in this database. And then we have another list of employees without managers. We can remove the first tab with all the data. We don't need it anymore. And so what we're going to do is a lookup table now, a VLOOKUP, sorry. So we're going to do in column in the tab called managers in cell B1. We're going to do equal VLOOKUP, and there's other ways to do this with other functions like index off and things like this, but I like my good old VLOOKUP. Select the A1, then comma, then we're going to go to this tab and select the whole tab. So A and B, all column A and B. Then add a comma here. We're going to say column B. We want the output from column B, and then false. Okay. So now what we have here, that's normal, because and so we just want to expand it basically until we see that some people return no manager. So just make sure you're going to get a lot of NA, but that's normal. Just make sure you have people. There should be at least one that has no manager in there. And so just make sure you find that person. So what I usually like to do to make additional filtering is just copy the outcome of my formula, put it in a different column, and then I can delete it. And now it becomes a lot easier to add a new row and like filter on it. And really what we want to find out now is we want to filter on column B and just remove the NA, just keep the no managers. And this is basically wherever the hierarchy stops in the system. In this case, it's not a lot, but in some cases, if there were lots of mistakes in, trying to lift and shift the data from a different software, and there were some like things that got lost in translations, you're going to find a lot of people that are managers and they're standalone, when in reality they shouldn't be. They should be reporting to one of the VPs. So this is the list that you're going to work with, right? So now you've got a list, and usually what I like to do is I put it in a separate tab, which is my final tab called Managers Without Managers. And in this list needs to be validated against the list of VPs that is given by the customer. So if the customer says, well, everybody should be rolling up to these 7 VPs, and you have basically more than 7 people that are in this list that have no manager, then you got a problem. And you got to find out who is not a VP and why are they not rolling up to a VP, and send it back to the data team and say, hey, can you fix this? Because it's impacting us. Um, so I hope this was useful. There's another way that you can easily, well, this is the easiest way, but there's another way that we can build reports using an MDF object. So you can create an MDF object that will have for each employee all the levels of management. So column one, let's say manager level one, level two, level three. So you create basically a business rule on the object. It's a non-effective dated MDF object. You create the fields, level one manager, level two manager, level three, level four, and then you populate it with the user ID. And because it has a business rule on save, once it runs through the entire database for each employee, it returns the name of each manager. The tricky part is not to create the MDF with the fields itself. The tricky part is to know how to really like browse through. So it takes a long time if there's, let's say, 20 levels in the company. It takes a long time to create the business rule, up to like an hour or two to just like, and it's really repetitive because you have to like narrow down on the business rule to find the levels, and you have to remember, okay, I'm working on level 7, and then okay, save, and then you do the same thing in through 8 levels. And but the great thing about this MDF object is that it can give you a report and for each employee all the levels with the names of the managers. And once you have that, you can export it, and then you can do something similar to what we did here. But this is the fastest way to find out hierarchy breaks. You can apply this to matrix managers or um, well, what else is there? HR manager or second manager. Just one important information though is that for the standard manager hierarchy, which in the UDF or like you saw when we export it is like this. So whenever someone doesn't have a manager, it says no manager. It's mandatory. It always says for the other ones, HR also says no HR. But the other ones, like Matrix Manager, they're blank. They're left blank. They can't have no underscore or something. They're left blank. So Matrix Manager, I believe it's like this. Then we've got Second Manager, and I'm not going to go into the detail of what therefore necessarily just saying that if you're going to do the same thing and try to find out breaks on these hierarchies, just so you know, there's no, and it's normal, there's no, um, so you might want to replace the blanks to make it easier, to make it more like this with, so download the UDF, you're going to find out who is blank, and then maybe replace the blanks with, no matrix manager, which will make it easier for you to do the VLOOKUP to find out the breaks. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Thank you.